Welcome to our program, Frédéric Petit.
Thank you for your invitation.
I would like to begin our discussions with your recent initiative, Sky Shield, to save Ukrainian skies from Russia's intensified missile and drone attack. What is your take on that, and could you please provide us with details of this proposal, this initiative?
Yes, of course. Well, it's an old idea, means this idea of defending the Ukrainian sky is not very recent. There are a lot of people thinking about that since 2 or 3 years. Till now, it was only a military thinking and military organization. What can we do? Shall we provide more planes? Shall we provide more defense equipment and so on? And we did a lot. Not sufficient, but we did a lot. This initiative now is coming to. It's linked to also civil society and political area, because we want also to say stop, to say that we understand that, and after the meeting in Alaska, everybody understands now, including now in my country very better than before, that we cannot trust the Kremlin and we have to react. And what we can say in this area of bombing the civil and the civil infrastructure, it is that it's not war. We have to explain that it's not war, and it will be not for our side a war action to defend civil, to defend children killed in their sleep. We have to make this clear that it's finished. But on the technical area, my initiative with some colleagues, one from military, one from economic, is not only military means. It's also, for example, we know now that to defend from drones, you have to have a kind of a chain of economic change, more quick, with a little more money, but especially more quick, with more research, in order not only to have things that you produce and to have a plan of equipment, but to have the capacity of having in 2 months equipment you don't know today that you are needing, because there will be a very quick evolution. I'm talking about drones. Of course, there will be some, we have to put some Patriots, some planes and things like that, but it's a very complex organization. What I want to promote is that this initiative should be under the same name, the same slogan, that we say stop. Sometimes by helping the economy, sometimes by helping by planes, by Patriots, but now we say stop. Killing the civils is not war.
Let's also cover a recent situation with Russian drones and Polish airspace. 19 Russian drones have entered Polish airspace recently, and some of them were intercepted by Allied Air Force. What is your reaction to this incident or attack by Russian drones on Polish airspace, and how can you assess the reaction of NATO, of the West, to this incident?
Yes. Well, I think it was not an incident. It was an attack. It was a test. It's clear because some are trying to explain that it was an accident. It cannot be an accident. That's the first thing. It was a test. I think that the Allies reacted and showed that they want to react it, and that's very important because it was an answer that was expected by Moscow. What will they do? Okay, and we answered that we don't agree. My question, and coming back to the complexity of the Sky Shield, is that we used maybe 2 million, more than 2 million or 3 million equipments to shut down something which things we were cost, I don't know, 100,000 euro. And then we have to understand that to protect the sky of Ukraine and the sky of Europe, we'll need to have a new political vision, geopolitical vision about what does it mean. It doesn't mean what it meant a few decades ago, to have plane and to have reference of plane and so on. There is a mix of means, a mix of organization, but those organizations which are 80% already existing, we are making a lot of things, but they have to be gathered in a clear geopolitical message that now we say stop. There will be a little more plane, maybe a little more soldiers, a little more means. There will be a better organization for research on electronic warfare, maybe a better organization for defense industrial base. But that is the same words. We say now stop. You have not the right to consider that the war is killing the children, because we have now the history, and a lot of people in West Europe are now remembering Grozny, 99, Alep, few years ago. That is not a collateral issue. It's a strategy. It's a military strategy from the Kremlin. I bomb the civil. I eradicate the civil society, the big towns, because I make a big pressure, and then I know that the army and the situation on the field will be able to be instrumentalized in a better way, because people will be desperate, and so on. Then we say no. We say no, and there is a lot of means. And what we said when these 19 drones came into our space, we reacted. That's good, but we saw also that our reaction is a little to be updated technically.
You just mentioned about this NATO's response to attack by the Russian side, that NATO used so costly missiles worth $1-2 million to intercept, to destroy so cheap Russian drones. Does it mean that NATO is not yet ready for a really big war with Russia?
No, I won't say that. The war began. The war began even in 2014, because we are in an hybrid war. I'm only saying that we have to understand and to appropriate, especially for the people who are not in the military, who are not soldiers, in the civil society, that now the war that the Kremlin is trying to implement is an hybrid war. What does it mean? It means a war which is also playing with industry, playing with the technology. You know, in the Russian newspaper, they were very proud that now we invent drones to kill civilians, which are better because they are flying over and they cannot intercept them. It was a proudness for them, and for me it was a shock. How can a society be proud that I will kill children? Okay, and we have to understand in NATO nation that NATO is not only a part, to defend ourselves is not only a part which is the role of the military, and we can make our business as usual. The military are caring about that. It's concerning everybody. And for example, for this adaptation of this war, remember 5 years ago, it was before the full scale invasion, we are attacked by migrants. We are still attacked by migrants in Finland. For me, it's a war. We have to defend ourselves. And of course, we will not kill migrants. We will not. I am not sure that this war was something, but we have to understand that it's a war. And then I would not say that now NATO is not ready, because NATO is ready, but is ready in the area where we were used to be ready. Now we have to understand that there are other areas, information, elections, bad news, drones, electronic warfare, information jamming planes, like the plane of the president of the European Union. We have to understand that the defense for NATO will not be only special thing for military people. It will be a global things. We have not to panic. We are strong enough. We have not to panic, but we have to understand that it's a change, and we have to get the momentum again and to say that's our rules, and we will not play with our rules, because if we play with your rules, we will lose. Then we have to refurbish and to reestablish these rules.
Do you expect Vladimir Putin to continue such drone attacks against NATO countries, against Poland?
Yes, I think the next one will be Baltic state. I think we can expect also something what we call incident, but for me it's aggression. Something hybrid. I don't know exactly the form, but in Narva or in Kareli with Finland, we are feeling that on the field they begin to instrumentalize some events in order to be able to say we are saving the Russian population in Finland or the Russian population in Estonia. You know that a few weeks ago there were a book in Moscow, a new book in Moscow, which is the title is History of Lithuania. Okay, and it's signed also by Lavrov. And of course, this book is explaining that the Lithuanian language doesn't exist, that the only good period for Lithuania was when Lithuania was in the Russian Empire, and remaking history of Lithuania. And it's not only a narration, it's not only a false interpretation, academic interpretation. It's the beginning of an aggression. For me, to have this book edited in Moscow a few weeks ago, it's the beginning of an aggression. It will be an hybrid, and I think that we can expect in the next week or months that there will be some kind of things which will not be military, maybe drones, of course, but which will be also a kind of how can we begin to jam the civil societies we are targeting.
Let's cover also peace deal negotiations between American, Ukrainian and Russian delegations. US President Donald Trump says that he will continue to move forward with this idea to participate in negotiations to try to settle this war, and he could participate in a meeting between President Zelensky, Vladimir Putin and himself, President Trump. Do you believe that Vladimir Putin would finally agree to any kind of a peace deal on normal terms to secure lasting peace in Ukraine this or next year? Or you just expect Vladimir Putin to continue to tap Donald Trump along?
Two things to answer. The first thing is about the Vladimir Putin, and the second thing will be about Trump. About Vladimir Putin, I think that it's not a detail that he's refusing to meet Zelensky, because he's arguing about that long time, and all this information war is about that Zelensky is not the president of Ukraine. Not only because he would prefer a puppet's government, but also he argues with false juridical arguments. And for him, a single fact that he will accept to meet Zelensky will be a kind of defeat, because it will mean that all his aggression, his communication aggression against the legitimacy of Zelensky will be out. And then, if it's too near in the time or in the information space, it will be impossible for him. It will be impossible, I think. Okay. Now for Trump, I think that the only way is what Trump called peace by strength. Putin has no interest today to go on in the negotiation, in the fair negotiation. We all see that in the press, in the Russian press, in the Russian declaration. It was as the negotiations were growing, even since February, there were more aggressive declaration, more bombing of civilians. I saw that. I was explaining. I don't believe that he's honest, because we had exactly under our eyes he was saying, yes, I want to negotiate, and then you had the biggest bombing of Lviv or even in Vinnytsia was bombed. What is the military interest? How can Kremlin justify that you want to negotiate it and begin to bomb Vinnytsia? It's completely absurd, and I saw that, and I think that now, since the meeting in Alaska, a lot of people is saying that and not believing, but it means that the only step in the good direction that we can expect from the Kremlin will be under obligation, under threat, maybe with these struggles they have now on gasoline or logistic inside the economic situation. I don't know, but I don't believe that there is something under the surface growing to have a fair negotiation at the time we are speaking now.
Also, US President Donald Trump says that he will impose tariffs and sanctions against India, China, and other countries who are buying Russian oil and gas only in case if Europe does the same, imposes high tariffs on Chinese and India's goods. What is your take on such ultimatum from President Trump to European allies?
I have to admit that I don't understand every time the structure and the big vision of the Trump administration. I think there are not only false steps, there are also mistakes in the vision. You know, if we can take another issue, world issue, it is Gaza. I think that the vision he has, or his administration is giving him about Gaza is not a good vision. And Gaza is not a desert when we can make a marina. Gaza is the oldest town in this region with the oldest church, and I think he's not understanding what are the role of economy in world peace. I think this is something that he's now reducing to a kind of chess party, that I give you that, you give me that. But the world organization by the trade, in the good sense of this word, since in cycles, it's more complicated, and it's not because you will. By the way, how can we impose that to Europe? It would be we can to have if we adapt our tariff on the tariff of USA for a third country, it would be completely absurd from our side. It will be slavism. The negation of what is a trade negotiation. If we are making negotiation with China because another country is asking it to do that, it's completely the end of the trade negotiation. I am rather for the fact that trade negotiation have to conduct with as less barrier as you can, because it will be a development for everybody under decades, cycles. But to say that the third country is saying to two countries, you have to negotiate that, completely absurd. It's not. It's for me surrealistic. And then I'm not listening a lot to this kind of thing. I think he was saying something. He wanted to come back about India and so on. He invented something that he can give up. But it's not very solid, and for my understanding, of course, I'm not in his head.
Do you expect President Trump to impose high tariffs on China and additional tariffs on India to force these countries to stop buying Russian oil and gas? And do you expect any kind of unified sanctions imposed not only by the US, but also by European allies? Is there a chance that the US, Europe can reach another deal on next step in sanctions against the Russian war machine?
You have few different questions about the last one. Yes, I think we can agree. I think that I am feeling that this reaction, this bad reaction of the Kremlin, is giving more space to the people around in the Trump administration who have a good vision and a real vision of what is happening. I think we are. I feel that, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that we are getting to something more realistic, to the reaction, the sanction, and so on. About the fact that he could sanction, yes, he is able to do that. He can decide it. I think that China is one thing, India is another thing, because India is not. I would say that if you have a democratic scale, India is not an autocracy as China is, and we have to be careful. It's a very big country. We have. It's something more specific. They are in trouble because we imagine that there is a kind of family with China, India, and Russia, but they have a lot of very difficult relationships between them. India with Russia, India with China, of course, it's the cycles. India with Russia about the dependence of oils. Of course, China with Russia. I think that the match between Russia and China is over. China won. Russia is today under the pressure of China, and it's over. But the place of India, we have to be very careful, and it's not so easy to say stop that order, or I will do that. And then I think that the first question about can we imagine that if there are sanctions, there will be a kind of rebalance on the tariff between Europe and United States. There is no deal now. The deal in Scotland was not a real deal. It was something very open. It was an announcement, and we are working on that. And nothing is clear. We have some tariffs, but it's not very clear where we are going. It's not very clear. We are not happy with that, because not only because they are unbalanced things, but because it's a deal which is not finished. There is nothing written, there is nothing voted, and our enterprise are in a gray zone. Then we will have to do something with that anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Petit, for your time and for your support for Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine.